Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be making this drop stitch top. This top is easy to make and surprisingly doesn't require that much yarn. The flow on this piece is stunning and you can easily customize the length. For this project, you're going to need 2 skeins of yarn. I used the Yarn Bee Bambootiful yarn from Hobby Lobby, a 4mm crochet hook, darning needle, pair of scissors. You might want a stitch marker. You're going to need some pieces of paper or cardboard, just something a little bit more sturdy, possibly a zipper, and a rocking playlist. This tutorial won't have any background music, so you can play your favorite songs as you work on this project. I personally love to crochet with a good song or movie in the background. Don't worry, you will hear my lovely voice, just no background music. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Now let's go ahead and get into this tutorial. Alright, so before we get into making our top, I'm going to make my little things that I'm just going to wrap my drop stitches around. So what I'm doing, I have 3 pieces of cardstock paper. You can use cardstock, you could probably use regular paper, or you can use like a cardboard or something. You just want to make sure that it'll have a little bit of thickness to it so it won't bend over too much. But I have my piece of paper here. This is the typical direction your piece of paper would face. I just have it turned to the side, and then I folded it in half, and then I took that and then I folded it into thirds. And then I just took a piece of tape and I just put it on the one side to hold it closed. And then this will be the width of what we wrap our first row or layer around. Then I went ahead and I took my second piece of cardstock paper, and this one I just folded in half. And just so you know, this is the traditional way you would hold it, 8.5 by 11. I folded it up this way. Once again, grab a piece of tape. Second one's done. Then take your third piece of paper. This is it upright. And all I did was fold it this way. So last time we folded it this way, this time we're folding it like longwise. And grab a piece of tape. And then that's secured. So now what I have is I have 3 different sizes, and they all almost get bigger by the same amount. And this is just going to help be like a little bit of a guide for me as I make my drop stitch rows. So once you have that done, you can go ahead and set that to the side. So to start off this project, you're going to go ahead and you're going to take your yarn and you're going to make a chain long enough to fit around your chest. Once you have that, you're going to go ahead and chain an additional 1, and then in your second stitch or second chain from your hook, you're going to go ahead and put a single crochet into that stitch, as well as every one down the row. So go ahead and repeat this, and I'll meet you guys at the end of this row. So once you've made it down the length of your row, you're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work. And then, not including the chain 1, but in every single stitch across this row, you're going to go ahead and do 1 single crochet, and then you'll repeat the same thing. So once you get to the other end, chain 1 and turn your work, and then do the same thing over again for a third time. You want to have 3 rows of single crochets. So I'll meet you guys after I finish up my next 2 rows. Okay, once you've made it to the end of your third row, you're going to go ahead and chain 1, and then you're going to turn your work. And now we're going to start working up our drop stitch. So you're going to pull that loop till it's nice and big, and then you're going to take your paper or whatever it is that you are using to help hold your drop stitches in place for the time being, and you're just going to put it on there. Then you're going to go ahead and in the next stitch, so not this first one because that one goes with this loop that's here, but in the second stitch you are going to go ahead and insert your hook there, pull through your working yarn, then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to pull that yarn up so you can take that loop and put it on your piece of paper. So one more time, go into the very next stitch, pull through your yarn, then you're going to chain 1, and then pull your loop until you can fit it up over your paper. And you're just going to do this all the way across your row. And one thing that you'll find is at some point you are going to have to like let these slide off the side so you can continue to work your way across your row. And that is fine. You don't have to worry about them falling off or like losing their sizing or anything like that, because when you reach through here and you do that chain 1 like that before you put it on your loop, what you essentially do is you lock it in place so that way it's not going to move. So you're going to go ahead and just keep repeating this all the way down your row, and I'll meet you guys at the end and show you what we do from there. So I went ahead and I finished up my last loop and I stretched it up over my little piece of cardboard paper here. And I'm going to go ahead now and take my working yarn and I'm going to yarn over and pull right up under that loop. Then I'm going to chain 1. And from there I'm going to turn my work, and slowly one at a time I'm just going to like take these off to make this like a little bit less of a messy experience for me. But then I'll go ahead and take my next loop. You can hold it however you find comfortable. I'm going to hold it like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet into the top of that loop. Okay. And that is what I'm going to do all the way down my row. We're just doing single crochets on the tops of our loops, and that's going to connect all of our pieces here and leave us with a really nice row of single crochets that we can continue to work our pattern off of from here. So go ahead and continue on with that, and I'll meet you guys at the end of this row. Okay, so I've made it to the end of my row here, and as you can see, I have like a line of single crochets now that I can continue to build up off of, and everything from here is just going to repeat itself. So I'm going to do 3 rows of single crochets up here, and then my row after that, I will go ahead and take my little cardboard piece and I will create the next row of these drop stitches, and then connect them all and just keep doing that over and over until you have your desired length. I think I want to have 3 of these drop stitch rows, so 1 down, 2 more to go. So if you choose to do 3 like me, then go ahead and start from the beginning, 3 rows of single crochets and then the drop stitch instructions, and I'll meet you guys once I get through all of that. Alright, so I finished my 3rd row and I used my next size up on my little, piece of paper that I was using to wrap my yarn around. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the sides. I've already done 1. This serves 2 purposes. One is to clean up the edges a little bit, but also I want to make sure I have a nice, clean side that I can use to easily sew a zipper onto, because I think I want to do a zipper back for this instead of doing like a lace back, but you can do it however you want. But I've already done one side, so I'm going to cut my yarn and reattach it on the other side of my top. Okay, so you can see the difference. This is the finished edge and it looks like really neat. This side, it ends with my little stringy things, which is going to be really difficult for me to you know, work with to close up the back, because these are just going to stretch out all over the place and be like a hot mess. So to combat that, what I'm doing is I'm taking my yarn, I'm going to reattach it into one of my ends. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, top or bottom. I'll just do it down here. Now into each of these little single crochet stitches that I have here, I'm going to just put one single crochet into each of those, just to help me work my way down my row. So I had 3, I'll stick one in here as well. Okay, which then leads me into my first row that I have to get through. So what I did on the other side is I just did a bunch of single crochets around 2 of these, like of my last little set of, you know, strands or drop stitches, whatever you want to call them, just for a little extra stability instead of just doing it around 1. So I just did it around 2, and you can keep track of how many of these single crochets you do to make sure that you have the same amount on each side. I don't really think it's like the biggest concern at this point, honestly, but if you're like me and you care about symmetry, you're going to go ahead and just do a bunch of single crochets. Okay, we're just single crocheting onto our strand like that. And then I do need to go back and like actually count on the other side how many of these I had. But what I did to make sure that I didn't have too many of these and then they get bunched up and then it like create a weird fold or anything, is I took them and I just like stretched them out over my work. So now they're like, I don't know, they're just like stretched out and they're nice and loose, and it'll keep me from like putting too many single crochets on this line. But so I'm gonna do that, and then once I get back to, once I get to my next little bar of single crochets, then I'll just single crochet into the sides of these stitches here, and then repeat the same thing along my last few, you know, bits until I get to my other end. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll meet you guys once I'm done this. Okay, so I made it down both of my sides, and now I have these really nice, clean single crochets here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just chain 1, which I already did, chain 1, turn my work, and then I'm just gonna go ahead, back down my line and put 1 single crochet along each of these stitches till I get here. Then I will chain 1 and cut my yarn. Okay, so this is what my top is looking like so far. It's actually upside down, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do now is, let me flip it right side up. So you can determine which side you want to be your front. I mean, they're basically like the same, but you're gonna, if you decide to do it the same way I'm doing it, to make my life a little bit easier, I'm gonna take this to my sewing machine and I'm gonna sew along the edges of these on my zipper, just so I have a really nice back closing or a zipper back closing. But you can also do like a lace back if you don't have a zipper, or if you don't have a sewing machine, or you don't have the patience to figure out how to just deal with zippers. What you could do is you can weave, like crochet a long chain and weave them through some of your single crochets here, and then, you know, just tie it up, and then you could have a really cute back. I think that would look nice as well. But I am kind of dead set on the fact that I want a zipper. So I'm gonna go ahead and figure out, I'm not the best at doing this, so this won't necessarily be a part of the tutorial because I don't want to confuse anyone, but I'm going to figure out how to get my zipper on here, and then I will meet back with you guys for what comes next. Okay, so I went ahead and I've got my zipper on my top, and I didn't really know what I was going to do for the straps, so I ended up doing this. This is what I came up with. So here are my straps, and to get my straps, what I did was I took 2 safety pins and I put my top on, and I just figured out like placement wise where I wanted the straps to sit on my body for the front and back. And once I had those safety pins in place, I took my yarn and I just folded it over 4 times, so I had these 4 strands, and then all I did was I just looped it through the places that I had marked off with my safety pins. So say I had it marked off here, I just put my hook through it, folded over my yarn, pulled those through, so I had a little loop, and then I pulled it through like that, and then to get it on the back side, I just flipped my work over, and then again through wherever I had my little stitch marker or safety pin, I took my yarn and I looped the other side. It does take a little maneuvering, but I looped the other side through to the back, and I made sure it was the right length for my shoulders. And then what I did was I just put a knot in place to hold it, and then I just weaved the rest of my little like tail end here in through to the inside of my work. And then after that, I haven't done it yet, but I can go back and like cut the extra yarn. But you know, that's how I got my little knot and had, you know, a nice clean looking strap. But that is what I did for my straps, and now all that's left is for me to do the little tassels that are going to hang off the bottom of my top. So let me get this off and then I'll show you guys how I did that. Okay, so this is what my work looks like so far, and now I'm working on adding these little like, I don't know, string tassel things that are going to hang from the bottom of my top. And to do this part, all I've done is I've taken yarn and I've just been cutting some really long strands, and then I'm just taking them one at a time and I'm attaching them onto the bottom of my top. So let's come a little closer. So in all of these little stitches that we have here, all I'm doing is I'll just take one of my long strands, and I'm doing them this long because I am going to cut them all to make sure they're the same length at the end, and I just don't know how long I want to make them at this point. But so I just take it and I loop it through, and then I take the 2 ends and put it through there to secure it. But yeah, that is all there is to it. So I'm gonna go down the whole perimeter of my top, and then I should be done. So I'll show you guys what it looks like when I'm through. This is what my final product turned up looking like. Please make sure that you try on your top and cut your tassels to be as long or as short as you like, and then you're practically done. I hope you liked this tutorial. Make sure you like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more tutorials. And be sure to tag me on Instagram if you post any photos. I would love to see your tops. But that's all for now. Enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll see you guys soon with another video. Bye guys.